Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to talk to you about Velma, the new HBO Max cartoon starring Mindy Kaling that is based on the Scooby-Doo cartoons. And we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, I just want to say that it would really help me out if you guys could give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and share the video, and make a comment. I love getting comments. I love talking with people about the stuff that I'm saying and everything out there in the entertainment world that we all enjoy and sometimes don't enjoy. Anyway, Velma. So it's a very controversial show because, of course, now they've made Velma a person of color, and they've even made Shaggy, who, by the way, they don't call Shaggy, they call Norville, a person of color. And there are some LGBTQ aspects to the show, and so it's controversial. And of course, the controversy started before it was ever released because word of these elements of the show got out to the public or were released to the public ahead of the premiere, and the anti-woke folks are going insane in the blogosphere and on YouTube, prejudging it, calling it garbage before it even debuted, and making up their minds sight unseen, which I always have a distaste for, and which is what caused me to decide to watch it, because I wanted to evaluate it for myself. And as a disinterested party who has no preconceptions of whether or not it's good based on things that we already know about it, unlike all these people in the anti-woke crowd who seem to have a real bug up their butt about it. So I did, the first 2 episodes at least. Now, I am a fan of old school Scooby-Doo, and up to this point, I haven't really seen anything Scooby-Doo that I haven't liked, except maybe the one where they did it with the little kids. It was a little goofy. But, I'm a Scooby-Doo fan from way back. I mean, it came out the year I was born, so I grew up with it, and I enjoy Scooby-Doo. But before you think that that predisposed me to automatically like it, I want to explain that I had no interest in watching this show, only because I'm not so much a fan of Scooby-Doo that I automatically watch anything Scooby-Doo related that comes out. I just wasn't interested. But like I said, the controversy and everybody shitting on it for being garbage before it even came out made me decide to check it out. Now, upon watching it, I had to make myself separate it from the Scooby-Doo that had come before in order to evaluate it fairly. Because if I hadn't done that, I would have had to agree with the negative views of it, or some of the negative views of it, because I think it does, in fact, do a disservice to the franchise characters. I think it wrecks them, quite frankly. And that's not because Velma is a person of color or that Shaggy is a person of color. It's because they just made everyone very unlikable, except for their version of Shaggy, Norville, in this show, who is very likable and who is actually quite funny. The stuff that he says in the show is funny, and it's funny that he is very much against drug use, which is hilarious. So I think they did a good job with that character. He's funny, but he's likable, but he's not Shaggy. He's just he's a new character as far as I'm concerned, as are all of the other characters. Velma, Freddy, Daphne. They're all brand new characters to me because they're nothing like the characters we know. They are those characters in name only and in attire only. Their race isn't even relevant. It's just they're not the same characters. Velma is not terribly likable, although I suppose in the first 2 episodes I would say she does have some redeemable characteristics, but she's not very likable. She's kind of a jerk. Fred is absolutely a jerk and a loser and an idiot. Daphne isn't likable at all. She's a straight up bitch and just a horrible person. And so it's just so contrary to the characters we're used to that if I hadn't decided to view it as something other than a Scooby-Doo universe show, I would have automatically disliked it because it ruins those characters. So if you're someone that thinks the show is garbage because it ruined those characters and that's it for you, then I would agree with you that it is garbage on that level. It destroys those characters, and they're not those characters at all. Even the good version, even the good character on the show, Norville, is not Shaggy. He's not, because Shaggy had a completely different personality than this guy. So I had to take the Scooby Doo thing out of it and evaluate it as a show that had all new characters. And the same kind of things informed my decision that it's not very good, which is that the Velma character, even if you take her as a new character, is not very likable. Fred is totally not likable. Daphne's not likable. And the only character that's likable at all is Norval. And like I said, he is funny, but he's the only thing that's likable about this show apart from the Scooby Doo element. If you take that out of it, he's still the only thing likable about the show, even though he's nothing like the original character. Just as a standalone new character with the same name, he's the only thing likable about the show. And not only are the characters bad, terrible people, but right out of the beginning, there was in the beginning of the first episode, there was swearing. There was a depiction of sex. Now it was cockroach sex, but it was a depiction of sex. There was a naked girl fight in the shower where their bits were only covered by suds. And there was a gruesome murder right away in the opening minutes of the first episode. So it's just a very vulgar show because that stuff just continues. Now, don't get me wrong, I like a vulgar show. Okay. I liked Brickleberry. I like Paradise PD. I like those sort of just Big Mouth, which is very graphic. I like those shows a lot. So it's not that I can't like graphic shows, but there has to be something endearing on top of that stuff to make the show not terrible. And it's just not there. It's not there. It's mostly dumb, just the situations that the characters find themselves in. And it's full of cliches. And there is an element of wokeness to the stuff that they say. I think it's very minor. And the good thing about it is they're kind of sort of, it seems to me, poking fun at wokeness and poking fun at, society sort of being woke to a certain degree. They're not playing it straight. They're making fun of it. So in that way, I think that's a good thing that they're doing that. And I didn't find it to be very woke at all upon actually watching it, because to me, race swapping and so forth doesn't make it woke. It's a completely different thing. And I've made videos about that. And including LGBT elements doesn't make it woke in my view. Because LGBT people exist, and why would they not be in a show? So I didn't see the whole woke thing. But at the same time, as I was just saying, I didn't think it was a very good show. I am reluctant to say garbage because I think there is an audience that will watch it. I think there are people out there who will find it entertaining. And if it's entertaining anyone, it can't be garbage. But I don't like this show. I think it's gross and crass, and it doesn't round that out with anything entertaining. Some of the jokes were funny. They were mostly from or about Norville, and I chuckled a couple of times and said, to myself, that was genuinely funny. But it's just a bad show, and it's a bad show apart from what they did to the Scooby-Doo characters, which itself is a travesty. But, I think if they hadn't gone quite as hard in the direction they went with these characters and changed them a little bit and made them kind of like wonky instead of the way they are, it could still have been a good Scooby-Doo show if the rest of it weren't just, I don't know, it misses the mark. It's just, I didn't like it. I don't have any interest in seeing a third episode. I couldn't sit here and say, oh, the people who say it's bad are wrong. It's a good show. They need to shut up. I can't say that because it's not a good show. What I can say is the reason it's not a good show has nothing to do with the stuff that they're whining about. So, and I think that's important to say. But I'm kind of rambling now, and I'm going to get out of here. That's really it. It's just not a good show, and it has nothing to do with the wokeness. It's just bad, and it's unfortunate that they used the Scooby-Doo characters to set up the show, because it is now sort of doing a disservice to those characters at the same time when it didn't need to. They could have given these characters different names and different clothes, and they could be the same characters that they wrote them as, because they're nothing like the Scooby-Doo characters that they're named and styled after. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back with more content soon. Until then, I wish you peace and long life.